Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Tipplers,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it. Hey y'all, this is Courtney. Are you looking to beat the February malaise? Well, let me suggest Kensington's Spring 2021 hardcover, Hopeless Romantic by Marina Adair. Marina Adair is a #1 best-selling author with over 1 million books sold. As a caregiver for her autistic brother, Beckett Hayes knows how meaningful a little extra help can be when life happens, which is why she runs Consider It Done, a personal concierge service in her small town. Her job also gives her the flexibility to follow her passion, being Rome, Rhode Island's unofficial special needs advocate, training emotional support companions in her spare time. There's not much of that, though, and certainly not enough for serious dating. It's always been family first for Beck. But one unquestionably gorgeous, good-natured man is suddenly a temptation that gets tougher to resist. 16 years ago, Levi Rhodes was ready to set sail off into the sunset, literally. But then his father's death and his sister's unexpected pregnancy postponed his sailing scholarship and the adventures he had planned. Running the family marina and bar was the least he could do for his grieving mother. Plus, his niece needed a father figure. But now that she's in high school and has her bio dad in her life, Levi's wondering if it's time to get his sea legs under him again. Or he was wondering until curvy, caring Beck showed up in his bar and then in his dreams. So this book sounds super fun, and it's always nice to see representation in books. And also what's really cool is a portion of the royalties go to the Origination of Autism Research. So go out and get Marina Adair's newest, Hopeless Romantic, wherever you buy your books.
On this episode, we read Jeannie Lin's Butterfly Swords. Since it's a 2009 book, it doesn't have any of the kind of trigger warnings that we're used to having to warn you about. Just look out if you're like super sensitive to white dudes getting the same like shitty naming conventions that usually everybody else gets in this kind of historical book. The dude's name is Ryam, and I'm pretty sure it is like an active aggression, and I love it. But yeah, there's nothing in here. There's a girl who's getting married and that she doesn't want to get married to the dude, and it's fine. And
there's sexy swords.
There are sexy swords. There's a lot of like great silk, and there's a lot of running away into forests with your swords and nothing else. I mean, you do wonder what these people are eating, but it's fine if you're down for historicals with action. You are completely down for this book.
Yes. All right. So I guess how are you doing in our 15th month of whatever we're in?
My husband's trying to go for the whole year with no haircut.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I couldn't
no, I mean, I don't feel good about the fact that I got a haircut. I am like actually kind of like, maybe I shouldn't like allow that I did once. And frankly, I don't know that it did me any good because here we are again. And I'm like, well, should I do it again? We're so close to the end.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
Oh, yes, we'll see. Anyway, so what are you drinking?
We have had some very poor planning in my house, so I'm drinking the last beer in the house.
Nice. I am Courtney No Fun. My dry January got delayed because of coups and things. So I'm not drinking anything, but I will suggest one that goes really well with this is a nice red blend called Silk Road. I first found it in kind of upscale like fresh markets and things, but I'm seeing it in more and more like just regular stores, and it's not too expensive. It's middling price, but it's really good and it's really smooth, and it goes well with this episode. So if you are drinking, y'all should get a bottle of Silk Road because it's good.
I'm actually waiting with like bated breath because I in a panic. My husband's really hard to buy for, so for Christmas I didn't know what to do. I ended up getting him like really expensive mezcal from this place. It's nice. Maguey Melete, and it's like single origin, like sourced from very fair trade and going to these palenques and we knew nothing about mezcal, but suddenly we've decided that we really fucking like mezcal. So we have joined the Mezcal of the Month Club, which is every 2 months. And our first we've been at home. We have not left this goddamn house for a year. And then the one day, and they had to deliver to a house with an adult there to sign. the one day we leave, we went on a field trip with my son. Like, we're gonna go and go to 2 more state parks and see a Carolina Bay and stuff. And then, god damn it, they didn't try to deliver.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, there's 2 bottles of mezcal out there with my name on it.
Just floating around.
And I don't have them now. But I do have this Torpedo Extra IPA, and I'm glad to have it, but I want my mezcal.
Are you watching or reading anything?
Oh my god. We're about to show my 6-year-old Roots because he keeps asking questions about racism and slavery.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we thought it was a good idea, and I mean, I'll come back on our next episode to tell you if it was a good idea or not, because he knows LeVar Burton well. Like, yeah, you know, we've been watching Star Trek Next Generation. He's seen a good bit of reading Rainbow, so I think my hope is that he will understand very well that this is an actor, because he has seen him in different contexts, you know. Like, he knows this person as not just, like, Geordie LaForge, but also as other people. So I'm really, really hoping that he will both understand it and be appropriately educated and horrified by it, but not have horrible nightmares.
Well, good luck with that. Let us know how that little social experiment goes.
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be great. He keeps asking questions though, so you know, you try to explain, but sometimes a visual thing works better. Good luck to me.
I am reading Courtney Milan's The Duke Who Didn't, and then I have been watching on HBO Max. They have like the entire series of Head of the Class. So I've been watching Head of the Class and been enjoying that a lot. And it, you know, it holds up pretty well for something that was 30 years ago. So that's what
Don't say that. You don't got to do us like that, Courtney.
No, it does. Like, it really does. Like, I mean,
yeah, but you don't have to mention how long it is, how long ago it is.
So
I don't need that.
I've been enjoying Head of the Class. All right, so we are going to be talking about, because Friday, which hopefully we'll have this out by Friday, February 12th, is the Lunar New Year. So Happy New Year. I'm going to count this as the New Year because January was such a shit show. We need to do it.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's do this over. Is it the Ox? I think it's the Ox, right?
Yes, it's the Ox. So we decided that in celebration of that we would read a kind of like an Asian romance. So I talked to Steve Amadown, who's kind of doing a lot of the romance history, and you guys should check out his blog and follow him on Twitter. And he suggested that we read Jeannie Lin's Butterfly Swords. This one won in 2000. It is, like Sarah said, it is more recent, but Butterfly Swords won the 2009 Golden Heart Award for historical romance. So, you know, a lot of times there were maybe some people a little bit earlier, but a lot of times they weren't encouraged to write their own voice. So this was the one that he suggested. And we didn't want to do anything that was, you know, going to be gross. So...
Yeah, exactly. Like a happy Lunar New Year. Here's an Orientalist like confection where you can tell that the lady is hot because she has blue eyes. No,
exactly.
No, we did not want to do that to anybody.
So Jeannie Lin started writing in 2005 while she was teaching high school. After a long journey through rejections and contests and revisions, her manuscript, again, Butterfly Swords, was her first book, won the 2009 Golden Heart Award. And her first 2 books received star reviews in Publishers Weekly and Library Journal. And her second novel, The Dragon and the Pearl, was listed as one of the Library Journal's best romances of 2011. I would suggest that you go to her website, JeannieLin.com, and we'll have a link to it. And she's got a lot of really good information on her website. And she's also got authors that inspired her, which is always kind of cool to see. So she talks about Jade Lee and links to her books and things like that. So, you know, there's not really a lot. I mean, that's incorrect to say. You know, like with all other authors of color, they're not being pushed by the publishers, so you have to go and look. So there are a lot of really good Asian American or Asian authors out there writing romance. You just have to know where to look. And so it's nice to see on Jeannie Lin's website her talking about other authors. So yeah, we read Butterfly Swords and it was delightful.
It was. I enjoyed this book a lot. It was just a really good, solid kind of action adventure historical romance. Yes. I think that anybody who enjoys any of that kind of book, the kind of book that usually like in the Harlequin historical line would have a dude in a kilt,
Yeah.
would enjoy this one as well. It's in a kind of a similar vein. I've got the actual physical book, and the funny thing is, evidently, this thing goes for like $200 on Amazon, and my library. I don't know. My boss has never listened to my podcast, so I'm wondering, like, no, I would never steal a library book, but I have the physical object, and I'm thinking that they must like reprint when things do well or get awards, because the copyright date, and this is funny because it's 2010, but she won a 2009 award, so either it was one of those things where the things are submitted to awards before, well, I don't know, but anyway, it is a Harlequin historical, and it has, the cover is great. The cover has it's a little out of focus, I think, to suggest a painting, but if you look at it too closely, like, oh well, they could have either focused it or made it more paintingly. But it has a lady, and you can see her whole face. It's not the thing where it's just like her mouth, or like, you know, she hasn't got a head, and you know, she is an authentically Asian woman. It is not like a David's Bridal model, like just, you know, wearing red silk. It is an Asian lady, and she has a sword, and it's great. It's a nice cover, and it's got that Harlequin historical little gold banner on the spine, and you know, that would often say like Viking or Regency or whatever, and it says Tang Dynasty, and then it says China, like there's another one. So I guess you take it where you can get it, all right? And on the back, it's definitely one of those back copies that has a lot of ellipses. Journey to the very edge of honor, loyalty, and love. During China's infamous Tang Dynasty, a time awash with luxury, yet littered with deadly intrigues and fallen royalty, betrayed Princess Ai Li flees before her wedding. Miles from home, with only her delicate butterfly swords for defense, she enlists the reluctant protection of a blue-eyed warrior. Battle-scarred, embittered Ryam has always held his own life at cheap value. Ai Li's innocent trust in him and honorable, stubborn nature make him desperate to protect her, which means not seducing the first woman he has ever truly wanted. Now, I will give this the back copy, which obviously the author didn't write. I will give it like a -1 for the fact that it uses the word honor way too many times. like it definitely has a bit of that stereotypical like honor, family, you know.
Yeah.
In that, but I mean, honestly, the book is not like that. I mean, honor certainly is a major part of the book because it's a major part of the plot, right. But it's like an authentic part of the plot. It's not like shoehorned in, and you know, nobody is inscrutable.
Yes.
This is a solid book, and I liked it a great deal.
Yeah, so our book, like it says, we have it. I mean, it's one of those. It's very action packed. So it's one of those where your characters kind of get to know each other as the plot moves along. So it starts with, I think our girl Eileen she's on her way to her wedding, and all of a sudden a band of thieves come and, you know, disrupt everything, and you're like, oh no, and then you figure out that she's planned it herself, so she is getting out of her wedding, and you know, she kind of tells her trusted bodyguard, you know, it has to be this way, and then she just kind of she runs off into the woods. And then we open up into this little town, this village, and our guy Ryam
like, I seriously, and I'm a dumbass here, I seriously spent like 100 pages like Ryam. I even Googled, like, well, maybe Ryam is a medieval name, I don't know. Like, no, you dumbass, it's a commentary on all those bullshit names that people give people because they don't understand what their names, how their names work, or what their names actually are. Yeah. That's why, like, you know, all these people, like your Gray Eagles and all, get these dumb names that are not culturally appropriate. Well, she's just like throwing that back on, it's if it were Ryan, it would still seem weird, like chronologically, and then it's not, it's Ryam. What the fuck?
Yeah.
So like some Texas lady naming her kid Ryam. Oh God, there might be one named to this, but yeah, it took me a long time to figure that out, and I felt real dumb. I apologize, Ms. Lin.
So so we're in this small village, and Ryam is, you know, basically being shunned because he's giant and foreign, and Nobody wants him around. And he's trying
we should say he's a mercenary. Well, sort of a mercenary. He's part of a band of. It's not quite clear. He's so vague about where he comes from.
I want to feel like,
which I guess is another one of those things.
I want to feel like it might be like, you know, one of those hypothesized like lost Roman legions, but because he's like,
and I keep saying legion, but it is odd. So this is Tang Dynasty, and it seems to be late Tang Dynasty. So we're thinking like 800s to early 900s.
Yeah.
So they could be from like lots and lots of places that would use the word legion, but he and when you actually see the legion, they're not all blonde. They're not all like European looking. Some of them are much more like kind of Turkish looking.
Well,
so you figure it's like the kind of thing that is like accreted people, but that he is clearly some sort of like Germanic. Let's guess.
Yeah, I want to think that he's probably, but I think it also is like, you know, considering how, you know, kind of cosmopolitan like a Roman legion would be. It's not all going to just be like dudes from the same place. Anyway, so he's trying to get food. He can't get food. He sees this girl dressed as a boy, but, you know, he can obviously tell that she's a girl because she's hot. And
obviously, I mean, you get the feeling that, like, okay, so Eily is very smart and has tons of agency, but does not have a lot of experience in the world. She may think that she's passing just fine and is not passing.
Anyway, so, you know, she takes pity on him and gives him her food. And that she had bought, and he eats it, and then, you know, does like one of those a few seconds later, like, ooh, I'm woozy. Realizes that
me the Mickey.
Somebody was trying to poison her, and then, you know, he and her like basically do battle with it because, you know, the person that she is marrying, Li Tao, is a very important dude, and so once she dips out of the wedding, he's got, you know, bodyguards and soldiers all over the place looking for her. So,
I got the impression that actually that this poisoning was just them. He thought, and I mean, of course, at the time, he did not know. We should say Eily is the emperor's daughter. He has 5 sons, 1 daughter, and nobody knows this, and like other than her until far later in the book. But he thinks that they're just selling her into slavery, and that might be the case. Like, it might have nothing to do with Li Tao and her marriage. It might just be that she is like not as safe as she thinks she is, and she trusts people because she's told they're trustworthy, and what else does she have to go on? But they're not. In other words, like, it's clear to him that somebody has sold her out one way or the other. It might not be Li Tao related. We don't know. But anyway, so he comes charging back like this drugged bull because, like, he's like, this is not my fucking business. Oh, she gave me her own food. Shit. So he goes, and there's a big old fight, and he's like, you gotta leave these people, these, like, quote-unquote bandits, who might or might not be bandits, that you paid off, because they're not trustworthy, probably. And even if they are, it's better. We gotta go. And they go. And so they beat feet, and they make like a tree. They do not let the doorknob hit them, where the good Lord split them. And they spend some time in the woods. And she explains to him, she doesn't tell him everything. She does not say that she is the emperor's daughter, because she's not, like, born fucking yesterday. So she claims to be, like, a tea merchant's daughter, and he's like, oh, really? Okay. So, like, that doesn't fly. But he assumes that she's like a high court official's daughter. And she says, I need to get back to the capital to tell my father that it turns out the guy that he sent me to marry had one of my brothers murdered. And she finds out, talking to Ryam, that he also just got fucked over because you know, they were working as, like, I guess, caravan guards, and the caravan that they inspected, but after they inspected it, illegal weapons got stuck in, and so they both figure out, like, oh, Li Tao is A, illegally arming himself, and B, murdered your brother. So he's trying to get her to the capital to tell what Ryam does not know is her father about Li Tao's treachery. You, as the reader, having read a few books in your life, are going to be like, you're like, don't know that your dad is going to be on your side on this one.
Yeah, they're going through that is after her. They have lots of near misses with him. Like Sarah said, she's got to get back to, you know, basically, like, she's got her real home that she grew up in, and there's a feeling that something happens, and you find out that there was a novella that came out before this, because you feel like you've kind of jumped into the middle of something, because her father was not always an emperor, but he has become the emperor. So they're going back to the, kind of the capital city, and all along the way, her and Ryam are flirty with each other. They go back to the, they finally, after very many chance encounters, they had like their first kiss. I can't remember the first kiss. It was good.
Oh no, it's kind of great. Well, so they do a lot of that, and I guess I do kind of like that trope where it's you and me, and we've lost our horses, and we had to survive in the woods, and so we have a lot of time to tell each other our stories, but we don't quite trust each other. And he does that thing where you try to well, I'm from South Carolina, so I say catfish tickle. But I guess in other places, where you try to fish by hand.
Yes.
And he says, no, I know how to do this, but it turns out he doesn't anymore. He hasn't done it for a long time.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, they keep having these encounters, and it gets a little farther each time. And I'm going to discuss one of them in the whole consent thing, because it's really good. But yeah, they get pretty hot and heavy on occasion. And they run into, it's kind of odd, like they run into picaresque in a way. Like they're running from soldiers, and there's a mistress of the previous emperor who lives in, I guess, fabulous seclusion.
Yes,
it's like by the banks of this, like, yes. And she's just like, she's still living her dynasty lifestyle. And I don't mean dynasty. So I just realized, like, I didn't mean dynasty as in like China. I meant dynasty as in the soap opera.
Yeah, and
like she's still swanning around in her like elaborate, and like there's nobody there to see it, but she is like the queen of all that she surveys, and it's fantastic. It's like this little slice of the capital, but the capital, as I think, like, probably as she wanted it to be her whole time that she was there, where the whole thing is just like hers, and she is like the supreme, decider of this place. It's great, and Riley is kind of jealous because it turns out Ryam knows this woman.
Yeah. They're very, like, again, you feel like she's in this previous thing that was written. And there is a short novella that came out beforehand because, he and her just talk and they know each other. He trusts her implicitly. And Eiley is just like, yeah, she's super jealous of it, doesn't trust her. And basically what he keeps doing is you don't really know a lot about him, and they never really tell you that much about him, which is fine. Like, but, he's like, I can't take you back home. They're gonna kill me.
I got warrants.
You're like, nobody is gonna be cool with me bringing you back. So he's gonna get the empress or this concubine to take her, and he's basically like, I'll see you later. I really like you, but this can't work. And they're on the road to go back, and they're overtaken by soldiers yet again. And so,
this happens all the time. She starts to leave with somebody else, and then an ambush happens, and he's like, oh shit, god damn it. And he's got to get his, pull up his pants real quick and run.
Yeah. So, he ends up having to fight off more soldiers. And he ends up having to be the one to take her, into the capital. And then things do not go as planned. Obviously she gets there and she's like, hey dad, Li Tao killed our, the fifth brother, the fourth brother. And he's like, I know. What you gonna do?
Well, the thing is, like, I'm not sure. He knows about the weapons.
Yeah.
When she tries to tell him about the brother, he responds very strangely. And the odd thing in this is that, like, you don't quite ever understand what happened to the brother.
No. I feel like it was killed on a battle.
That's left really vague.
Yeah, because
so well, what happened? Like, what was the thing? Like, what?
She doesn't get the receipts on it either, because she basically just heard from a guy, like, hey, that guy killed your brother, and she's like, oh no, and she doesn't try to follow up and get another source. She's just like, it's true, there could be room for misunderstanding, or maybe the guy, so. She tells Dad. Dad's like, well, you're still marrying him. And then she finds out.
It really doesn't matter. I need this dude. Because, her dad was not the son of an emperor.
Yeah.
Her dad kind of, just backed into the emperor job, evidently.
Yeah. And then
You know?
she finds out that her dad, who's like, is about to like throw another wife in there who's an emperor. You know, there's another empress floating around, or princess. And so he's like, you know, so she comes back. The dad's like, you're going to marry him anyway. Yeah, her dad's become very political, and she's just extremely upset by it, you know, obviously.
And her mom, like, she's never had a good relationship with her mom, but her mom was like, I cannot believe you have embarrassed us. Yeah. You have put, like, a lot of shame on our family, which actually, you know, yeah, you have. You kind of, like, you nope the fuck off of your wedding. That's really bad for a lot of people, and you know that this dude is, like, probably militarily stronger than your father is. This is a major problem.
Yeah.
And she tries to explain to her mom. She's not good at explaining to people, by the way. She gets really emotional. But her mom is like, look, your father is fucking replacing me, like, tomorrow. But it's fine. It's not emotional. We just had to do things, all right? We had to do these things. And on the one hand, like, I get that I'm supposed to be like, oh, I can't believe, like, but on the other hand, I'm like, well, yeah, if you want to be fucking emperor of China,
you gotta do shit. So they
gotta do shit.
They end up, like, she ends up talking to her grandmother, who she has a very close relationship with. Her grandmother's the one who taught her how to use her swords. You know, she's got her butterfly swords.
I don't think we've mentioned that.
No.
She's like a legit warrior
woman.
herself.
Yeah, like she's like,
yeah, like it's great. It's very. I mean, like the scenes where she's fighting are really good. They're really well done.
So, you know, she talks to her grandmother. Her grandmother's like, there's a guy, isn't there? She's like, yeah. And her grandmother's like, I get it. She's like, go see your brother. There's one brother. There's the youngest brother who's a fuck up. She's like, go see your brother.
He's a poet. Well, I know, okay, same thing, right?
He's the best. So she, you know, she's piecing out of town and just happens to run into Ryam, who's like super drunk at an inn. Like,
she gave him this giant purse full of coins because, like, okay, you gotta go. Get your ass out of here. Yeah. Thank you so much. I don't know how to deal with this. I would wish I could keep you, but I can't keep you. So here is all this money. And he has decided that there is no limit to the amount of booze he can pour down his throat to actually use up all that money. Like, he sees it as a personal challenge.
Yeah, he's gonna drink it. He's gonna drink the pain away. And then she just shows up. She's just there. And then they, you know, they share a room. He's like, I'm too drunk to do you, but I'm going to go downtown. So we get some downtown business.
We do. Because he's like, well, this is not, because he had actually bought the room because he wanted to fuck it out. Yeah. But then with a prostitute, and then he was like, oh yeah, this sex worker that I've hired is actually too much like her. I'm sorry, ma'am. Yeah. He pays her. He doesn't like, you know, screw her out of her wage. Yeah. But I guess he still gets the use of the room.
Yeah, he does.
But so he doesn't, you know, it's another woman's perfume, and he is drunk as hell. He's like, I don't want it to be like this, but let me go down again. And I'm like, okay, all like, right. And she's enjoying it very much.
In spite of all of his drunkenness, like when he gets down there, he's like zoned in, you know. But yeah, so. They go on there, you know, because they're going back towards the mountains. They go all over the fucking place in this book, but we'll get to that later. So they're going back to her mountain home where she grew up, and that's where the fourth brother, or no, five. The fifth brother is living.
Five. Yeah,
yeah.
Little brother is like the one who's just not good at the whole martial thing.
So he gets there, and he's basically like, he's pretty cool about the whole thing about her dating this outsider, and you know, at first he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna fight you," and it's obvious that he's terrible at fighting, but so Ryam like fights him in a way that like he doesn't lose face, and he's like, I like you, let's get drunk. And so he and the fifth brother and Ryam,
he's not good at getting drunk either, because Ryam is like, is this supposed to be a drinking contest? Because like okay, like, should I act a little drunker? I'm not sure. Like, but yeah, this dude's a lightweight.
Yeah, so like this little guy just like ends up, you know, losing sword fights, losing drinking contests, but he likes Ryam a lot. He's like, you're a good dude. So
before he shows up, they do bang it out.
Yeah, he's
I mean, like, don't you realize that there are servants everywhere? Like, everybody knows that this dude came to your room. You know that, right? I mean, like,
yeah, she don't care. Yeah, so they bang it out. It's pretty good. yeah, the brother, when they get to the house, is like on patrol, which is hilarious to think about that guy on patrol, because he doesn't seem very patrolling.
Well, I assume that his soldiers do that. I mean, they probably love it because he's a nice guy, so they probably do the same thing that Ryam was doing. Like, oh, sir, you go that way and I'll go this way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, they end up banging it out, and then the brother comes back, the fighting and the drinking, and then I'm putting it over to you now. This is what happens.
I don't even remember why they go back to the Jade Gate, which is where
they were gonna leave.
Whole military thing.
They were gonna leave. Like, basically, the brother was like, "You guys got to," like, he's like, "You guys can't." He was like, "Go to the gate."
There's an upsetting scene, like where they go to like kind of the the ancestor chapel, and he doesn't understand Ryam because, frankly, he doesn't speak very much Chinese.
Yeah.
So, like, she's always talking to him in whatever language it is, which is never even mentioned. And then the brother is like, swear in front of our ancestors that you're there for her.
Yeah, like, he knows one.
Like, do this.
Like, he knows one dialect, and then she's mainly speaking, I think, in like Hakka. And so, like, there's a lot of, like, confusion. But yeah, like, there's this. Like,
I think most of his Chinese is like, another drink. And yes, I would like to fuck that. I mean, like, it's not. Yeah, it's limited.
Yeah.
It's very limited. And so, also, he doesn't understand, I guess, the nuance of what he's been asked to do. But he also doesn't. He knows, at this point, I think he's figured out that she's a princess.
Yeah.
It's lived out. And he's like, I am ruining your fucking life.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want to do that, and it's very disappointing for her. And they just go, because she knows that there's this other princess, and it's actually at the fortress that they go to, the Jade Gate, which is like near the Great Wall of China, and kind of this last outpost of empire where the rest of his people are, and the one dude Adrian, who is his sort of the guy he's sworn allegiance to, and he has married who was briefly empress, the previous, like, end of the previous dynasty, married, and then they ran away, or they live here. They're sort of in China, but sort of not, and that's the one that her dad wants to bring back and marry in this very, like, to try to kind of, like, consolidate his claim on the throne. Well, they get there, and it is rough.
Yeah.
And I think that, and like, Ryam is watching her, like, she's trying to be cool about it, but she's been very gently raised. And the princess is fantastic. She's awesome. Delight. And she's like, well, so this is what it is. Like, you can do this, this, and this. You have to decide.
Yeah.
But she's still hurt about the whole, he won't swear to her. And they talk about it, and it turns out the whole garrison is about to maybe go even farther west. Yeah. Because, like, the empire is getting really unstable. So she's like, fine. I have to go fucking marry Li Tao. No. She has to.
No, yeah. She wants to go.
Where's she going?
No, what happens is, like, Li Tao's, they get word that Li Tao is bringing his soldiers there. And so she doesn't want Ryam to get hurt. So she goes out to kind of, like, meet them.
Well, no, they attack them.
Yeah.
She was going somewhere. She was going somewhere without him. I think she was going back to her dad's house. Yeah. There's a lot of travel.
Yeah, to be fair,
they're always going somewhere.
Yeah, and they get ambushed again.
Yeah, literally, he's like, no, I'm not going with you. And then yet again, like, he sees it, like, off, they're like, oh, god damn it.
They're being ambushed again. So, they're fighting. This one, like, this time it's, like, very harrowing, because, like, they both get caught. She's now under, like, Li Tao has her, and, he's basically like, we getting married, and I don't care what you say, and, she's like, no, we're not, blah, 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 don't you care that, and he's like, no, this is all political, I don't give a shit about you. But the weird thing is, like, Li Tao, like, also is surprisingly not the worst, because, like,
no, he's not. I mean, like,
there's a part,
he's a little the worst, but he's not, like, super the worst.
There's a part where, like, he, she's like, if you let Ryam go, I'll marry you. And he's like, I'm going to kill him anyway, and I'm going to marry you. And then he comes back and he's like, well, I thought about it. I got to have kids with you. I'd rather not, like, I don't want to force my wife. So if it
Yeah.
if it makes you
he
happy,
could be a lot worse than he is.
Yeah, he's like
her threat is like, okay, yeah, you can force me to marry you. Like once I left my dad's house, I completely belong to you, and you can do whatever you want to with me.
Yeah.
But I can make your life as miserable as possible.
Yes.
For the rest of my life. You know?
Yeah, so he lets it, he's gonna let Ryam go. She sees him, be let go, and they're getting ready with the wedding, and her father shows back up. And then basically it's one of those that they let Ryam go, and Ryam's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here, and you're just gonna have to kill me. And essentially, he whatever, challenges Li Tao to hand-to-hand combat for her, and they have hand-to-hand combat. Li Tao loses, and he's like, I give up. Again,
but he's not like the dastardly guy who tries to cheat at the end or anything.
No, he's not.
And Ryam's like, well, I can't kill this guy because I have to live here,
Yeah. So, and then her dad ends up being pretty cool about it. He's like, all right, you can marry this guy, but you guys are going to go live and take over Fifth Brother's spot because Fifth Brother is doing a terrible job. So, luckily what happens is, that you learn that we can get over, her marrying this weird guy from, no one knows where, because we hate poets that much. That's universal, is that poets are useless, and we have to,
That's true.
We have to.
That's very true. Well, the weird thing is, I assumed at the end they were going to be like, and I'll bring my little friends from my legion because they couldn't find a place to be. Here, but it didn't say that. So I was like, well, I hope they're okay.
It was very abrupt. It was a very abrupt ending. But I feel like this book was the first in this world building thing where we're just supposed to kind of get to know all these people.
Also, there is a strict page limit on a Harlequin historical.
Yeah.
So, and it did seem like a little longer than many of them. So I do wonder if they had to no, you gotta shop it.
Yeah, I felt like there was, because there's a lot of people in this book. There are a lot of people, for a Harlequin. So, but yeah, it just kind of ends with and they just sword fought and banged it out and lived happily ever after. So, but it was fun. It was a good book.
No, I liked it a lot. I did.
And it's cool, because she does incorporate real places, they're at the Jade Fortress, and the Jade Fortress is a real place, and Eileen's asking him about it, and she thinks it's gonna look really cool, and he's like, it's just kind of like a big brown block, it's just a big brown box, and that's what it is. If you look at the pictures of it, it's just a big brown thing. So, but that was kind of fun how she put those in.
Yeah, you can tell the research is there. She put the work in. I liked it a lot for that. You ready for questions?
I am ready for questions.
So, big dick energy or big dick energy?
Ryam is fine. You don't know enough about him to really have an opinion on him. I felt like he's.
I think that might be. I don't want to say it's all on purpose.
Yeah,
but he's kind of playing the same part of the inscrutable one, like the Grey Eagle or the barbarian. And so you never learn that much about those guys, right? You don't learn their specificity of where they're from, or their, they just never really learn the language very well, and they, all that. So I don't know. I think it might be somewhat intentional. I liked him a lot, though. I mean, what you did learn about him, he was doing his best.
Oh yeah,
I liked his It's the kind of book, where you get both perspectives. And, I liked his perspective a lot. He seemed kind of fucked up by life and in a realistic way.
He's a good dude. He's just sort of there,
I hate to say it, though. You know who had really big dick energy? Is Li Tao.
Oh my god, Li Tao was I was sort of hot for Li Tao a little bit.
Yeah, I have to say. And he was supposed to be so old. He was twice her age, which he was
38.
He is?
He's 38.
Yeah.
I wonder
and he's graying in the temples already, and I was like, that sounds like a fox.
I wonder if there's a Li Tao book. I have to look.
I would read the Li Tao book.
Because I felt like it was kind of set up for
Li Tao is very realpolitik, all right?
There is.
What?
The second book is The Dragon and the Pearl is Li Tao. So
oh well, I need to read that.
I know. I feel like you know how sometimes you can tell when an author really likes a character. I felt like she liked him more than Ryam. And that's fine. Like, you know, Ryam was, I mean, he was big, he was blonde. You feel like, you know, he's a big, dumb, hot, you know, piece of ass.
Well, and he's also commentary on a trope, whereas Li Tao is more of a, like, organic, like, you know, you make an anti-hero sort of thing. And it's hilarious because she does not know, she's never seen Li Tao. I mean, the only time she's been in his presence had that, like, kind of, you know, the drapings where you can't see the other person. And so we know immediately when this exceptionally great swordsman with this, you know, they bother to describe him. Like, oh, that's got to be Li Tao.
Yeah, this hot guy.
She doesn't know that.
This hot older guy.
It takes her 20 pages.
Yeah. Okay, would you talk shit with or about the heroine?
Oh, she was great. I thought it was really funny. So her name is Li.
Yeah.
But like fucking Ryam, because he's kind of a himbo. It's like Eiley?
Yeah.
Ailey, like Ali?
Yeah.
I guess he's from Texas. So the funny thing is that the book kind of refers to her as Eiley from there on, and I think that's kind of an indication that, like, you know, her feelings for him, and that she'd rather be Eiley than Eiley sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's great. She's spunky. She's got her swords.
Yeah.
But she's also she's very thoughtful. Like, she's not one of those, like, impulsive, like, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, she's put a lot of thought into stuff. She's a serious person.
Yes.
I like her.
I mean, she puts a lot of thought into it, but also, like, to be like, you know, you heard from a guy about your fiance killing your brother, and you just come up with this insane plan. Like, I was like,
I gotta hire some not bandits to not bandit me.
She spent more time on the plan than, like, you know, trying to suss it out, because again, you still don't really know what happened to the brother. Like, Li Tao,
it almost seems like it's an open secret, though. You know?
Well, hold on. Li Tao said something like, "Your brother's impulsive. He was impulsive. He was on the battlefield." Like, that's kind of the, you know.
Wouldn't Li Tao say that?
But also, like, I think, you know, I don't know. Nobody seemed. I have a feeling that probably in Li Tao's book, you get, like, the brother might have been, like, fucking some shit up or something, you know. But who knows?
I don't know. I want to read it though, because I did think that Li Tao was fine.
Yeah.
And also, she cut his face up in a really hot way.
Yeah.
He only improved with Scar.
His Scar.
So Bechdel the Bitch. I think that's really interesting in this book, because it's one of those books where they go to 5,000 places. And I thought about it later. I was like, oh, she's kind of she sees a bunch of models about what she could do with her life. So she sees the old concubine who's kind of carved out, like, a spot for herself. She sees her mom, and that's not going great. She sees her grandmother, and, like, her grandmother, but this is not, the man was not the emperor that she's talking about. Like, you know, I wanted that one, and I you know, decided I was going to get it, but it was lower stakes, right?
Yeah.
And then they go to the fucking end of the world, and then she meets the princess, who has made, like, this enormous sacrifice, but they're not, like, really making any bones about, like, this place kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah,
there's actually a lot of women in this.
Because, and her and Mia have, like, a really good conversation. And Mia, you know, because she asked her, like, don't you miss home? And she's like, Mia's basically like, Adrian is my home. So wherever he is, like, I'm good with. So yeah, there are a lot of women, and there's a lot of conversations, not just about a dude. So that was enjoyable. Which is
surprising, because, you know, series romance, because it is so short, rarely has the time for, like, a lot of, you know, there's lots of other women in this. It's good.
Okay, when it comes to consent, is this book more Robin Thicke or Marvin Gaye?
There is a scene in the woods where, like, they're getting into it, and it's hot and heavy, and he's undone her, like, I'm not a girl, like, boob bindings, and she's like, please, and he's like, yes, and he says, please stop. Yes, sorry, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, he does. He stops immediately. That's nice. So,
yes.
I mean, yeah, everything they do in the book is completely consensual. You know, it's her a lot of times, like, basically, like, dictating, like, hey, we're doing this now. So like
dictating.
So yeah, there's nothing in this book that like, I mean, aside from like, almost having to marry Li Tao, but that's it. Yeah, so it's very, very good. But again, it's a 2009 book, so
yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like it's easier for a book to be to win us on all these questions when it's later, because it's had it's had time to think about itself.
Yes.
How badly are you judging your mom off for reading this book?
I think Mom, she probably would have read it. I don't know. I mean, again, it's hard to like. This one doesn't really work for this, because like. But I think it's I think you guys, if you're looking for a contemporary romance, like this is a really good one to do. I think it's very action packed. It's got a lot of stuff going for it, so you guys should read it.
Would Scarlett Johansson be in the movie?
No, because again, I mean, everybody. Well,
oh no, they would cast her and they would put her in a wig.
But for the purposes of our question, like our one white guy is Ryam, and we think he's the like he's the one white guy, and he's just sort of there. But I mean, I think it's a really great depiction of this period of Chinese history. I think it. Especially for people who maybe not are familiar with it, it's a really good kind of introduction, and it's a really adventurous and fun, and the characters are well fleshed out, and it's culturally great. So
yeah, I don't know a ton about this time period, but it seemed grounded in reality and well researched, and there was not like, I mean, its own voices, so you expect there to be, but there was no inscrutable East,
Yeah.
It's none of that. It was real people in the same way that you would see like Scottish clans or Viking lords or like, whatever the historical you're reading. It had that exact same feel of like that level of realism and authenticity. So like thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay. You're not leaving the house looking like that. There's some good outfits. She's got some really good outfits. Her wedding outfit, and
but she throws off the balcony. Oh my god, it's great.
Yeah.
But even her like boy outfit is obviously like pretty cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. Like the little trousers and tunic. I love it.
It's clearly
all right. Would your 12-year-old self have Would your 12-year-old self have dog-eared any pages?
It's pretty hot.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't
that initial oral scene was pretty good.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked it. I mean, it was one of those like where it's all in the middle of like other stuff happening, so it's kind of like you didn't get the reunited sex. We usually get reunited sex, and we didn't get reunited sex, but that's okay.
You did get some very passionate kisses, but yes.
Yes.
So what pairs nicely with the dumpster fire? It's not a dumpster fire.
No, it's not. So again,
not at all.
Yeah, I think that, like I was saying, that Silk Road, because they talk about the Silk Road a lot. That's a good line to go with it. That would be nice.
Or Chinese liqueurs, or whatever floats. Something festive because it's a Lunar New Year.
Yes.
Something that comes with a red envelope for the.
Yes.
Because that can't possibly just be for children, right? Because I would really like a red envelope.
I don't know. I think it's like maybe for, I guess it just depends.
What if you're a child at heart?
I guess I don't know. I don't know who just gets it. I think you probably give according to, family. Because it's also like the numbers on the money too. Because people you like more get better numbers. So like if you look at the serial numbers, like they get deep down into it. So you give people like who you really like the good serial numbers, versus those that you're just like, hey, here's a couple bucks. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to be part of a holiday where you eat amazing food and get money? So
yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, Jeannie Lin, I'm gonna read her Li Tao book. Because,
oh my gosh, me too. I'm so excited for that one. Maybe we could do a Patreon for that or something.
Yeah, I'm in that doing that.
So yeah, this was our Jeannie Lin Butterfly Swords. If you like the episode, leave us a review, a rating on iTunes, wherever you listen. It helps us get our stuff out there. You can find us on bodicetipplers.com. Twitter is btipplers. Instagram, bodicetipplers. And our Patreon is patreon.com/bodicetipplers if you want to throw us a couple bucks. Bodice Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcast.